2 chapters today, and that would be a peck of apples and the advance guard. How you know you're in a wartime situation? And the government doesn't like you when you get expelled for your defending yourself. Really, Harry? Like, you know Dumbledore's on your side, so even if you do get expelled and you're unsnapped, then he'll probably let you stick it into the end of an umbrella, and hang out with Hagrid. Oh wait, wasn't that the concern that Harry had before? What I realized about this chapter is the fact that within this household, there is actually no one really communicating on a level that everybody else can understand. Everyone in this, particularly in the first chapter, is struggling with this set of two worlds in their own very unique ways. Harry, of course, is fully pulled between them. He spends most of his year in the Wizarding World, but then it's like jumping in a cold pool that never quite gets warmer every summer when he has to go back. He's the type of person that if he had the choice would stay in the Wizarding World for the entire year. But then we're seeing, of course, that he doesn't have a choice in this matter. He's being thrust into a situation that he does not like, but in fact nobody else in this house likes this situation. Let's look at Dudley then. Dudley, of course, at this point in time, Muggles can't see Dementors, so he has no proof other than the assumption that because his cousin pointed a wand at him, that his cousin has caused this thing. But the thing is, you have to remember that Dudley has almost constantly been on the bad end of magic. His tail, his tongue, and now getting hit with a Dementor. This is a kid who, in many ways, just as much as Harry's been neglected, so has Dudley. This is a kid who has never been properly disciplined in his life, who certainly hasn't had his health seriously looked after up to this point where the nurse has finally stepped in. And this is a kid who has watched his cousin get neglected his entire life. This is not a kid who has learned to be self-sufficient in any way. And he's lashing out because of it. He beats up kids. Well, if he ever got, stopped for doing it, then that might change who he is. But unfortunately, just as Harry's been neglected and is being pulled between these two worlds, Dudley's been coddled to the point where he can't deal with anything, and he's being pulled between these two worlds just as much as Harry is. Because while Harry might have some positive experiences and be fully involved, this is a kid who is not involved with the Wizarding World, and every time he actually hits it, he gets hurt. Then, of course, we have Petunia, who shows here that she has a lot more knowledge about the Wizarding World than anyone in this family expected. But having, again, read further and coming back to this, we could see actually how much Petunia herself is suffering. Her sister found out she was a witch, and suddenly that's all Petunia wanted, because you look at what Harry and Ron and Hermione can do, and you say, yes, You look at the fact that Hermione is obsessed with her homework and you're going, I would be too! She's freaking at a magical school, I want to do that. You're even willing to write off some of the dangers because I could ride on a broom. And that's Petunia. She was introduced to this world, was tempted by this world, and then was rejected by it. On like a serious scale. By Dumbledore, eventually by her sister, because their communication was far and away off, by Snape, and it's Snape's actions towards Petunia that really, I think, count towards who we see him as a person, and it's not positive. And you wonder why this poor woman's so bitter. She just wanted a little bit. She was a kid, she was younger than Lily. She just wanted a little bit of the magic that she was seeing. And she was rejected from that. And then, out of nowhere, expected to just deal with it. Like, hi, you can't be part of this world, but hey, here's your nephew, your sister and her husband are dead from a Dark Lord, have fun. And again, not even like spoken to. That howler, where Dumbledore says, remember my last, is the last letter he wrote her, which was the letter that he left with Harry when he left Harry on the doorstep. What is wrong with these people? None of this family, for as neglectful of Harry as they are, none of this family asked for this. Vernon, I think, is the most separated, and he still basically had to find out from poor Petunia, geez Louise, okay, you know why I don't talk about my sister? She was a witch, now she's dead, here's my nephew. And that's the thing, we could tell Vernon actually cares for his family because he listens to his wife. He seems like the type of person that if he wanted to, he could shout her down. But when she turns around in this moment, and you sense there are probably other times where she has done this too, and says that Harry stays in the house, he listens to her. And then stops Harry from just bugging her about something she obviously doesn't want to talk about. Because the thing is, Harry has been without information so much that he no longer cares if he's being overly rude and aggressive about trying to get this information. He doesn't care that these subjects might be just as sore for the rest of the family as it is for him. He says, like, with Vernon, that Vernon probably doesn't even care that his parents' deaths might be a sore spot. Harry doesn't care that it might affect poor Petunia. She points out in the last book that Lily was her sister. She was rejected from this world, and now this world is asking her to basically, you know what, deal with the mourning for your sister, here's your nephew. Raise him, deal with something she can't actually deal with. That's the thing about, like, wizarding parents. One of their kids does accidental magic and changes something. They probably have the ability to fix it, or at least know where to go to fix it. Guess what? Petunia doesn't have that ability. Now put her family at risk. Have to continue dealing with the fact that she is well aware that her nephew doesn't want to be here. The family doesn't want the nephew there. He has places that he could still go, and they're all still being overridden by this great and powerful Dumbledore. Because obviously, what these people want doesn't matter. Their safety and happiness, not a concern of his. You don't send a howler to somebody whose son just got attacked by something that you can't even see from a world that didn't want you. That's not how this is supposed to work. But apparently it's how things are gonna work. Like, this poor family, and I mean all of them, are suffering from decisions they're not even allowed to have a say in. And it is beyond frustrating. And the thing is, then the advance guard shows up. And most of these people I could strangle really easily. Because they're in there, like, poking around somebody else's house because, hey, ain't this cool? You don't do that. Not even in the magical world do you do that. So what is differentiating you from, you know, the Death Eaters? Because you've still got this assumption that the Muggles, really, if I break some social rules with them, doesn't really matter, because they're just Muggles. Like, and Remus is being, like, purposely obtuse, and I hate it. Because listen to what your best friend's son has just said to you about they don't care about me, they're gonna be upset that I'm coming back, they don't want me here, and you're just smiling like, well, that's the way the cookie crumbles. No, it isn't. The two people I like in this scene are Mad-Eye Moody, who just at this point in time is treating Harry like everybody else, with this recognition that war's coming and they're gonna have to deal with stuff and he's just gonna have to man up. And that's how he treats everybody. Good on you, Moody. Like, fine. You want this kid to fight a war? How about stop acting like he's just a little kid and tell it to him straight. And then, of course, there's Tonks, and Tonks, and Tonks, and Tonks, and Tonks, and Tonks, and thank you, Tonks, for giving me some faith back in both humanity and the wizarding world. Because Tonks apparently can function in both. She does say that her father is a Muggle-born, but again, like Harry's Muggle-raised, that could mean, hey, I'm in the magical world, I'm gonna stay here. Obviously not, because Tonks knows how to properly send a letter via the Muggle post. She's talking about how neat and clean things are, and how it sort of feels unnatural, and then a little mess, the messiness of Harry's room, he's like, okay, cool. He knows that what Harry can and can't do in this moment. Okay, you can't do magic, I'll get everything packed. Like, she's not talking down to Harry about, oh, you really should keep things more organized, because we see that with other people. She's not making assumptions that he's wrong in this moment, which just seems to be what every person sending letters is doing. Like, Harry's just done this on purpose, which I'd like to point out he's never actually done it fully on purpose. Like, the pudding was Dobby, blowing up Aunt Marge was accidental magic via Marge being a complete and total witch, in the Muggle sense of the term. At this time, it was an attack on Dementors and he was defending himself. So no, he's not doing this on purpose. And Tonks is actually just straight up taking that at face value. She's like, okay, cool, this is how we're doing it. She's willing to talk to him. She's telling him about herself. She's showing off her abilities, talking about how she has weaknesses. She is matching him as a person, and is willing to be open with him and give him information, even if she can't because she is an Aurora, give him all the information he necessarily will want. She's at least saying, hey, I am trying to be open with you. And Harry is appreciating that. Harry is asking questions. We're seeing that Socratic Harry that we started this series with re-emerging out of this angsty, angry Harry, and it's because of Tonks, and I love her. really wish some other people could step up and be like that, but not a lot of people willing to admit when they're frickin' wrong. Okay. I think I'll leave that video. I'll just leave this video here. I'm gonna keep reading, and I hope you do too. See you next time.